Hi everyone, this is Amina for another episode of Wise Wednesdays. Today we're talking about how to make friends with your inner critic. What is the inner critic? The inner critic is the harsh voice that lives in your head and that you probably picked up when you were younger. And it essentially tells you what you're doing is wrong. Why is it important to make friends with your inner critic? Well, the truth is the inner critic was probably your friend when it first appeared. It was trying to help you. It was trying to protect you. A bit like a parent that's being overprotective and is trying to get you on the right track, is trying to help you along, but maybe is a little bit old-fashioned, a little bit strict, and not quite up to speed with all the information that's available to you today. So it essentially needs an upgrade, and there are tools and approaches that can help you do that. But because the inner critic's probably been in place for a long time, it's going to take a little while. It's going to take some commitment, some willingness, some courage on your part to face the root cause of the inner critic, so that you can really make peace with it and turn it into an ally rather than an obstacle. How is it an obstacle? Well, if you're watching this video, you've probably noticed that the inner critic stops you or makes you feel very negative. It might stop you from taking opportunities or taking risks or trying new things because it really punishes you when you experience failure or rejection. And so it keeps you from really meeting and unfolding and fulfilling your highest potential. So there are different ways of approaching the inner critic. It depends on you and your readiness for change and your personality, and also the coach or whoever that you're working with and what they work best with. So for today, I'm going to share one tool that comes from Tara Brach, who's a mindfulness psychologist, and it is called RAIN. It's an acronym and it stands for the following, which is R for recognize, A for accept, I for investigate, and N for nurture. And as you may have guessed, it's a tool for self-compassion. So let's try and apply it. So let's say that you're going for an interview and you start to feel nervous about it. You go in for the interview, you have the interview, you come out and you feel even worse. So what do? You have two choices. One is you go down the spiral of anxiety and negativity, or you try something different and maybe try RAIN, the tool, this particular tool. So if you notice that you're starting to go into a spiral, that's number one. That's the R of recognize. You have noticed that you're starting to enter a pattern of thought and feeling and behavior. So that's great. You've already done the first step. R for recognize. You've recognized that you're about to enter a pattern which doesn't serve you or help you, and isn't healthy for you. So you can move on to the next step, which is accept. And so what can you accept? Well, you can accept the situation, and that is that you've had an interview, that you don't know the outcome, that these sorts of things can be stressful because we feel evaluated, we feel judged, we feel exposed, and there's a risk of rejection. In other words, there's a risk that you won't get the job. And that's all just fact. It's nothing to do with you. There's no right or wrong to it. It's just a situation. You can also accept your feelings, and that is that you do feel a little anxious, and you did feel nervous, and you did feel or exhibit hesitation. You feel uncertain, and maybe you do feel a little depressed or cocktail of feelings as a result of this situation. And it's okay. Accepting the feeling is essentially feeling the feeling. It's as simple as that. You take a deep breath and you place your attention on your body and you feel the feelings. And this can be very frightening. Most of our inner critic language, or most of our thinking about the past, about the future, is a way to defend against the uncomfortable feelings, the feeling of vulnerability, which is that we're not in control. So feeling the feeling can be intense, but it's a shortcut to the other side. You could spend hours thinking through what happened, or talking it through, or finding reasons why it didn't go well, and that it's their fault or it's your fault. Obviously, the inner critic here is highly engaged. Or you can feel the feeling. It hurts. I don't know what's going to happen. Deep breath. It's just a feeling and it will pass. And this is not to be underestimated. This is probably the most challenging and rewarding step. So give it a really good shot. So that was A for acceptance. The third step is inquire. So this is where you can involve your rational brain, your rational mind, and start to transform the language that's being used, because your inner critic is probably going to try to use harsh language against you. But the inquiry is more of a curiosity rather than a judgment or an evaluation. So you're essentially asking yourself powerful and revealing questions. And this really depends on the situation and the person and what you're experiencing. As an example, you could ask the feeling, which is yourself really, what is it trying to tell you right now? What is the intense emotion you're experiencing trying to tell you? And if you do this with compassion, it's not going to say, oh, well, I'm trying to tell you you're an idiot. It will reveal something else. It might reveal something like how much you care about getting a job that can help you to support yourself and support your family. Or it might tell you that it really wants you to believe that you can do this, that you're worthy, and that you shouldn't hide your talents and hide your abilities and hide your strength. There is so much deep wisdom that can come from really inquiring into what's going on in your experience. And this will really take the transformation of the relationship to the inner critic further, because it might reveal some really long, some hidden wisdom that's been hidden for a long time, and that was held back because you didn't want to feel the difficult emotion that was associated with the type of experience you had, like imminent rejection. So once you've done that and you feel that you've had an insight of some kind, you might feel a huge relief, huge relaxation, because you'll realize it's nothing to do with whether you're good enough or not, or whether you are whether you're good enough. It's nothing to do with that. Your feelings. It's to do with something else. So finally, nurturing. And this is the sweetest step, because you get to give yourself what you really need. Because you might think, I need an answer right now, or I need to punch that interviewer who really asked me a tough question and is just trying to humiliate me. You will give yourself what you really need, which is maybe you need to give yourself a break. Maybe you need to call someone who really can hold you and give you some comfort. Or maybe you need to go for a walk, or maybe you need to forget about it. It doesn't matter. This isn't actually the job for you. You already know that. You're just pleased that you showed up. And so what you need to do is reward yourself for your courage and for your willingness to participate in the process of discovery, of self-discovery, and of finding the job that is right for you. So those are the 4 steps. Recognize, accept, inquire or investigate, and nurture. As I mentioned, it's not enough to do this just once. To do it well, you need to practice it. This is really like a strong practice, a strong foundation for mindfulness. And you can apply this process to any intense emotion. But particularly here, we're talking about the inner critic that produces the voice that produces shame and really unpleasant emotions. So that is all for today. Repetition and commitment of compassion for yourself and for others through RAIN. All right, I hope this helped, and I look forward to hearing about your progress or your stories, your feedback, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.